Powerful training brought to you by my YouTube channel, Raw Rich Anonymous Women. Welcome, everybody. And tonight or today, we are talking about 5 powerful anti budgeting tips during a recession. I don't know about you, but budgeting is super duper simple. Okay. Budgeting is simply plus cash inflow, take out your cash outflow, minus, and of course, you get a bottom line. It's really that simple. Where it gets very complicated is right there in the middle. It's the minus part. Okay. The minus part where it gets complicated because that's where you normally would make sure that you are not spending more than the plus, which is a top line, or you make sure that you make additional income, or like many of us have multiple streams of income so that top line can grow. But for those of you that don't have some of those opportunities yet, not that you can never get them, but yet this is a powerful training for you. And maybe you don't quite do budgeting yet, and you're just kind of getting to know your money habits, your spending habits, and you're on the ground floor of creating a system for yourself. This training is for you. Hi, if you don't know me, my name is Kareen Mills. It rhymes with bills, dollar bills, you know the one. I'm financial educator empowering women to get rich and give. All right, the potential for financial growth over the next 5 years is truly amazing. You may wonder why and how, Kareen. Well, stick with me and I will make sure to take you through the steps. It's not investment of capital. It's not those who has the keenest financial intellect, although it will help. That's why we're here, right? To empower women to get rich and give, or even the most experienced people. Here's number one. Many times, the financial gurus in the world, okay, especially those ones that fear mongers you, they always talk about budgeting as if it's the first step. Before you even get to a system in your budgeting, you really got to learn how to track your expenses like a hawk first. Remember, you guys, the middle that I was talking about, the minus. Remember, budgeting is really simple, but it's very hard to do. Let me repeat for the people in the back. Budgeting is really simple, but it's really hard to do. It's easy to do. It's also easy not to do. The thing about budgeting is it's so simple. It's just simply addition of money in and subtraction of money out. And then you get a bottom line. And that bottom line, the goal is to have a surplus. The goal is not to be under the waters, is how they call it, right? So before you get really good in your budgeting system, you need to get really good in tracking your expenses like a hawk first. Because if you don't know what's coming out, which is the middle, the minus, is we've got the addition, subtraction, and then we get an outcome or a result. If you don't get really good with the middle, your system is probably going to always have a breakdown. Number 2, never go to the store without a list. Never go to the store without a list. And here's why. I'm going to talk about the psychology of the paper that they send you every week. You know how like grocery stores send you this massively colorful ads every week? And then on the very front page, they have all of their sale and for sale items. And for the most part, those for sale items are more than likely items that they need to get rid of. But they also utilize those items to bring you into the store, to get you in the door. And so if you don't show up at the door with a list, it can be very dangerous to your cash flow. Again, this is the minus in the middle in your budgeting. So never go to the store without a list, because what happens is these stores would never spend this amount of money every week to print those things, to send it to your household, because print, number one, is super expensive, but yet week in and week out, they invest a lot of money into their ads. Yes, they all now have a app, but they still, on top of the app, continue to send you the colorful ads because they want to capture your attention and they want to get you in the door. What happens once you're in the door without a list is you start throwing things into your cart. How many of you have done this? I'm going to be the first one to raise my hand, because when I'm teaching and training you, I'm literally teaching and training my old version. I'm not just teaching you thinking I know it all, because there was one point in my life that what I do teach now are things that I wish I would have known. And that's why I teach it to you, because those are the things that I wish I would have known. So the psychology of those paper ads that they send you every week is truly to get you in the door. Have you ever thought that maybe, just maybe, this is why they spend a lot of money on those ads every single week and send it over to you so you can come to their store? Without a list, you are going to have a really wide open door to your pocketbooks. And sometimes those pocketbooks may not have enough money, and it leads you to be out of control. So, without having a list, especially those that are living check to check, or maybe just have a little bit of extra, and especially those that always are negative at the end of the month, what I like to call more month at the end of the money, especially those of you that have more month at the end of the money. And oftentimes I get asked, like, how do I start to invest, Kareen? Because I want my money to work for me. My number one question is, do you have money extra that can work for you? Because you cannot multiply zero with any number without getting a zero. So if you are not watching this like a hawk, if you are not bringing your list to the store, you're not going to generate an outcome on the bottom line. Therefore, you don't really have the surplus to invest, because there's what we call a basic necessity that you have to take care of. And investing is not basic necessity. Until you get really good at your basic necessity, then you could start studying. I mean, you could definitely start studying, but then you won't have the money to play. Because in order to really learn any game in life, is you got to be in the game to learn the game. The most effective way to learn the game is to be in the game. And how are you supposed to be in the game if you cannot create an outcome on your bottom line? Remember, plus, minus, and a result. You got to bring the result first. And this is what I'm teaching you in this specific training. Number three, calendar an appointment with thyself, yourself, or with your spouse if you're married, to go over your finances. Why do I have to do this, Kareen? This is weird to talk to my spouse about it. Because if you're doing plus minus with an outcome and you're both not on the same page and aligning with what you both want, because it's one thing to train yourself to create a system and a habit that is good for you. when it comes to your finances. It's another to try do it for two people. And so if you cannot sit down and really talk about this, there's actually another training right here on my YouTube channel about marriage and money. So if you are this and you're hearing this, you need to go find this training about marriage and money. I dive deeper into this. So when you don't include your partner and you're worrying about the plus minuses and the outcome in your household, that person don't know what your goal of outcome is or the other, and they're just going to be swiping that card and creating a lot of minuses in your formula. And so being in alignment with each other is so important. And how do you then make sure that that is a commitment between the two of you? Have a calendar appointment to talk about your money, to talk about where you're at, what you both need to do, and what you both need to contribute. Because when you have a spouse and even when you have kids, it becomes a team sport. Money in family becomes a team sport. Otherwise, if there's only one doing this, you're going to have so much resentment to the other members of your unit. It's like a team, right? If you run a business or a corporation and you have people under you or people you're working with and they're not performing accordingly, the unit does not function properly. It's the same thing with your household. So make sure you make time for this. Number 4, plan your meals. This is really an indirect impact to budgeting. That's why I called it the non-budget, the 5 powerful non-budgeting tips. Because by doing this and focusing on your behavior, it leads to better money habits. And your journey with budgeting, once you start building your budgeting system, becomes a lot easier, way easier. Plan your meals. If you don't know how to cook, there's so many YouTube channels that does nothing but cooking. There's so many Instagram accounts that do nothing but making food. And if you don't know how to cook, make a salad, for crying out loud, right? Buy a rotisserie chicken and pinch those chicken over your salad. There is zero excuse for you, especially when you don't have a lot of outcome in the bottom line result, because the goal is to create that bottom line as fat as possible. Here's how we plan our meals, and I'll share what we do in our household. We eat the same thing twice. So we can cook once for 2 nights. And then we just eat lunch, like our lunches are leftovers, right? From dinners. And if there's dinners that we just simply can't finish, I'll throw it in the freezer. Now, there's going to be people in your household, especially as your family gets bigger, that don't like leftovers. And it's just maybe a different dynamic. But I know, like my husband don't like leftovers, but I know he will eat the same thing twice. So I'll make dinner for 2 nights. It does a couple of things. It does, number 1, we only have, because we cook together, we only have to cook once for 2 nights. And then we get to rest because the food's already there the next night. And then we just do it again. And then now that we have more resources financially, we have a date night every week. So 1 time a week, we go out for dinner, me and my husband. And then our boys just go get their food. So plan your meals and plan it ahead. For me, I do it either a Saturday or a Sunday, and it's really easy because once you have like a circuit, once you have a really good, what I like to call rotation, and you get to the bottom and your rotation is like quite long, then you just start over. You don't have to think once you have a lot of meals in your circuit or your rotation. It really gets easier. Number 5, use coupons, you guys. I remember after the 2008 market crash, I became this crazy coupon lady. And every Sunday I would get the $1 paper. Now it's probably a little more, but I haven't been diligent with it, but I still coupon. But I used to obsess about it. And if you don't have money, you certainly will have time to obsess about it. If you don't have the time, like I'm slowly getting there where I need to just outsource things, right? Like you get to a shift where money is this much and then time is like this wide range. And then it's time starts closing in on you. And then hopefully, this is the goal, the money starts growing the other direction and it does a reverse. And so you start figuring out that there's certain things that your time is just well spent better focusing on making more money. Like you just start having this matrix like awareness about everything in your life when you start creating good habits. It bleeds through every aspect of your life. I don't know if you fell off like the gym wagon and then you get back on the wagon and then you start doing it again and you get in the habit of working out every day. I swear that everything just gets better around it. It's the same thing with your money. Those little improvements and little behaviors that you make a shift around and you make the commitment and be committed to it, it's going to change a lot of things in your life. And it literally creates that matrix like awareness in so many aspects and facets of your life. All right. I hope this training is helping you out. Don't forget to subscribe to this YouTube channel because I do these trainings all the time. There's so much trainings here that you can even go over. Don't forget to share this video as well to those that you love and you think that's going to help. My YouTube channel is growing. Would love your subscription. Join Raw. Raw is my community rich anonymous women where financial independence meet girl power. I'm also a business coach and a dynamic speaker, and I thank you for being here